Okay, well, it's 10 after 6 on this Friday morning here on Morning News Today. Let's go back for a bit to the State of the Nation address, and the President telling us last night we have some tough choices to make, and highlighting that the economy is not growing, public finances are limited, and saying that he has set some fundamental goals that need to be achieved in the next decade. With us this morning, political analyst Sinethemba Zonke, to tell us what we take from this. And Sinethemba, good morning.
Good morning.
Many people not feeling very inspired by the State of the Nation address. The common theme I'm seeing here is it's his I have a dream speech. It's high on dreams, but low on the detail, the how-to. You agree?
I think it was expected for people not to be blown over by this this speech. I think, again, from what South Africa has experienced over the past 10 years and what we are currently experiencing in terms of the economy, I think President Ramaphosa had a tough sell for the Sona, but at least I think he was honest, at least in terms of the State of the Nation, which we are in challenging times. And the key thing for a State of the Nation is to really not give out plans, is to give out bullet points and just some sort of a guideline for what's going forward. And he will expand on that in question time as well, when his departments outline their plans for the next 5 years.
I suppose we have a good idea of what the State of the Nation is, and it's not pretty at the moment. We were lots of expectation about state-owned enterprises, SOEs. We heard a lot about Eskom, but was there enough?
Yeah, I think that was actually one part that we can say is he really disappointed on. I mean, indeed, Eskom is the big gorilla in the room in terms of SOEs, and again in terms of its central point in the economy. So what we heard again for South Africans, which is going to be a bitter pill to swallow, is that we're going to bail out Eskom again. But we heard nothing about SABC, we heard nothing about SAA.
Yes,
both of those
been quite controversial in the past couple of weeks also, and what we've seen happening at the State Capture Inquiry. And
indeed, for two enterprises which are at dire states. And again, we also don't know with Eskom, with what has happened with Phakamile Hadebe, who stepped down. I think the president actually has not come out to what was the issue for Phakamile to step down. We want the two new executives, the CEO and the chief restructuring officer, also not face difficulties. Maybe there are structural problems that aren't easy to fix in Eskom.
Unemployment issues with youth, you think he did enough there? I mean, giving us some numbers, giving us some projections as to what we're going to be doing?
Sadly, with unemployment, it's more of the same. If you go back from 2009, from Jacob Zuma's lofty dreams of about 10 million, I think 11 million jobs back then, I think Cyril Ramaphosa again is coming up with 2 million jobs for the youth within 10 years' time. Yes, the plans are there, but again, the structural and fundamental problems of the unemployment is quite big, and I don't think we really saw what new job-absorbing sectors or investments are they going to do? What really fundamental changes are they going to take? Is there going to be more red tape that is taken out? He spoke a bit about that in terms of making it easier to start a business. I think that is good, but we actually really need to see the proof in the pudding afterwards. Will he make sure and crack the whip at DTI and his other departments to make sure that the economy is opened up for entrepreneurship?
So it sounds in a term like you would have liked some tougher talk.
Yes, I think that's what I would have liked. I think beyond making us really disappointed, I think we should see a lot more people actually quite angry at the president, particularly in the public sector, particularly in the business sector. People are going to have to be unhappy in order for us to turn around this economy. It can't be the business usual that we've had over the past 10 years. So that's what we need to do. He needs to tell us how is he going to make sure that government stops being sluggish in terms of allowing entrepreneurs and investors to come into the country. We didn't really get the tough talk. What is he going to do with the mining sector? What is he going to do with coal? And he spoke about renewable energy, but again, we heard the Minister of Minerals and Energy who spoke about coal still being a very important sector. It seems that there's some contradictions there between him and his cabinet.
Who do we believe, or who are we actually listening to? Well, I'll tell you who's not happy, and I heard some conversations on a radio show this morning. Small business owners calling in and saying, well, there's nothing for us in there.
Indeed, I think again it comes back to the investment summit that was held last year by the president, where were the small business there? It's always, again, the big businesses who are around the president, who are his main supporters. When are small businesses going to get paid on time by government and by big businesses? There's a lot of talk. We always talk about this dream of entrepreneurship, but entrepreneurship is not, it's not something we should simply talk about. It's about having the correct environment
system
for people.
for it. And he himself, when was it? Earlier this week, Youth Day, saying use your skills, to come up with your own ideas, your own innovative ideas. But a lot of those ideas get stopped short because of the bureaucracy and the red tape, and people not knowing where to go.
Indeed. And again, we need to know. He spoke about the National Empowerment Fund. We know all of these institutions, the NYDA, again, for decades they've been there, and youth have complained that they are not getting through in terms of getting the right investment. It's not enough to have the skills and the ideas if you're living in an environment that simply rebuffs you and just drags you down and you aren't able to do anything. Well,
it seems almost like the perception out there is that this, yes, is the president's wish list. But a lot of the criticism, and we heard Julius Malema saying, he's speaking from his own imagination. He's not really telling us anything about what's happening within the ANC as well. And I'm just looking at the Mail and Guardian front page this morning. State of the pushback, saying he's delivering the State of the Nation address as a third ANC faction lies in wait. And I think, should he have addressed these things? Should he have addressed the troubles of the governing party and allayed the public fears, investors' fears as to what's going on there?
I think he certainly should have. I think even after the interview, as much as Ace Magashule did try and support the president, but we know that there's a lot more debate around the sub. We know that the debate is ongoing. It's not even just internally in the ANC. There's been a couple of discussions in the media over the past 2 weeks with economists who see themselves as progressive economists, saying there's a lot more that needs to be done with the mandate of the Reserve Bank, and it cannot simply be conservative. So he didn't really speak to that. He simply, again, spoke to investors and to calm those fears. But again, he's not addressing why people are having that discussion in the first place about the South African Reserve Bank. Some of them obviously have nefarious purposes for that. He didn't address that. Again, but he didn't address the reason that people have had concerns for over the past 20 years, where inflation has seemed to be the obsession of the South African Reserve Bank without really focusing on other issues that the economy is facing.
Okay, well, on the other side of this, Sinethemba, a lot of people might be saying, well, listen, maybe he's being realistic. Maybe he hasn't made us all these big promises because, he can't at the moment, because he can't make, so maybe we should accept it for what it is, what he can, what he's capable of, or what we are capable of at the moment, not making promises that we probably can't keep.
I think, again, some of the promises are not that big in the first place. These are promises we've heard before. So it's not even that. These people are disappointed because we've heard all of this before. There were some positives, I think, that were addressed. I think there is his announcement about a gender-based violence council. I think that is a very strong message. And I think that really needs to be praised for the president. I think he made another comment on with regards to zero hunger. His 5 points. Those were quite important. I think, again, he needs support there. I think those are important bullet points, and we need to see how he can expand across those in terms of when he's in the answer and question time with the parliamentarians and what his departments will do in terms of following through with those key points.
Education, you think there was enough focus on that?
Again, I think that's where we have the dream versus the reality of education. He never spoke about the big issue in education, which are the teachers, which is SATU. I think it doesn't matter how much you want to do in terms of having the lofty dream of having all 10-year-olds to be able to read. But what about SATU? SATU has always been the problem in terms of education for the past 25 years. He didn't address that because SATU is his main ally. Is he going to fight those people and make sure that they get out of the way and allow our kids to learn properly?
And of course, what we've been seeing, crime in schools, asbestos-filled classrooms. You'd imagine it would have had a bigger focus. Okay, well, we leave it there for now. A lukewarm State of the Nation?
Lukewarm
is what we're agreeing on. Okay, thanks very much.